Welcome everyone to the Pat and Paul Show. My name is Paul Michelotti. I am joined, as always, by my guest, Pat McLaughlin.
Hello.
Pat, how are you doing today?
Good today, Paul. How are you doing?
Great, great. What are we talking about today?
We're going to talk a little bit about the Ionic AEM Apps library.
All right.
As well as the Ionic AEM Apps library archetype.
All right. I've never heard of either of those things. Can you tell me?
A little surprising since you built.
Can you tell me a little about what they are?
The Ionic AEM Apps library is obviously built for AEM apps, and it solves some of the issues that you're going to run into when you're building apps for the AEM apps for the AEM Apps library. Yeah,
that's going to be some redundant.
You're going to be able to do that. What it really is trying to solve is authoring an application and having content in an application is tough, because an application is a single state, a single page, with different views that are coming in and out.
Right.
But when we use AEM to author, AEM is a web-based system. So what you want to do is be able to author web pages and turn that into an app. And really, that's what the Ionic AEM Apps library is really trying to solve.
Right.
Along with a lot of other cool stuff too.
Yeah.
The archetype, on the other hand, is just a way to get up and running, because with AEM apps, it's very hard to just get going. There's a lot of configuration that needs to be done. And we've kind of at least set up a template. So you download the archetype, you build it, and you can have an app running within 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, so where AEM Apps is very opinionated about how you actually set up your project structure in terms of the content sync configurations and things like that, it is not at all opinionated about how you actually do your application development. So we've got the archetype that is guiding you in the opinions of AEM Apps about how that structure has to be set up, and the library, which is essentially an embodiment of our opinions about how single-page applications should be authored in the AEM context.
Yeah, so that's a very good disclaimer to make. The library is very much our opinions.
Absolutely.
But founded after building 3 or 4 different apps and landing on this tool as a way to do it.
Yeah,
so,
this equation.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are we going to do here to start showing this thing?
So what I thought would be cool is let's just build straight from the archetype. Let's pull it down. Let's build it. Let's get it into AEM Apps. Let's configure a few views. Let's use its interface to pull it down. Use Cordova to build it, and let's see it out on the emulator.
Let's do it.
All right. So first thing I've queued up here is the command to pull down the archetype. So the archetype is up in Maven, right? Correct?
Yes, Maven Central.
It is up there now.
Yeah. So if you go out to GitHub, which is linked in the video, to the archetype, we've got this command sort of queued up for you. You can copy and paste it right in your terminal,
as I just did,
as Pat has done.
All right. So I'm going to hit enter here. It's going to start taking us through a few of the steps.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. Pretty pumped. All right, so group ID. Let's get something in there. So I think what we've been talking about is we're going to make a series of these videos, and we're going to build out a to-do app. So maybe we'll name it that way, and we'll kind of continue to use this throughout the videos. But today it's really just about getting up and running.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna throw us in there too. And Paul, AEM, mobile.
Sure.
Mobile it is. Oh, then, you know what? That to do. All right.
Like that verbosity.
Got it. Yeah, very specific. For the artifact ID, we're just going to go to do app.
Yeah.
And finally, for the version, we're just going to use the default 1.0 snapshot. And
enter again.
Package.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, here we go. I think it'll just be to-do.
Yeah, so we're starting that's probably an unnecessary number of O's.
Oh.
We're starting up, the project scaffolding, obviously, in this video, and over the next few videos, we're going to sort of be demonstrating a lot of the features of AEM Apps and the AEM Apps library by building up, sort of it's canon at this point to demonstrate your framework with a to-do application, I think. So
got it.
That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. So
fired up.
Everything looks good to me.
Yeah.
Let's hit enter. There it is. That's it. Let's call it in the video.
Yeah. App.
App is created. It's going to go down into Finder, as I like to do, instead of just changing directories. We've got our to-do app here. We can see the structure of it. We've got the core, the UI, the POM. Pull that down, and I'm going to build it to.
This is you couldn't be bothered to drill in one directory.
No, absolutely not. I like to have as many terminals open
Sure.
as possible.
That's fair.
It always is. One thing that I want to make mention is I have a brand new instance, author instance of 6.1 with the feature pack 2.
Pack 2, yeah.
Installed, and those are the requirements for using the library.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and just run the build. With a little bit of luck, we'll pull all the dependencies down. We'll see it up in AEM Apps.
Yeah. So what this archetype has given us so far is it has given us the not only the scaffolding to get the library bundle out into AEM, but it's also set up sort of the root content structure for the application. So, the application's home, starting page is essentially, as well as all of the content sync configuration that's necessary to actually bundle up and pull down the application. And so that's what we're going to see.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, it's all there. That's what's enabled us to see something once we actually get out into AEM.
Exactly. So I'm going to reload the app screen here, and there it is. So within AEM, if you go to the apps section, this is where you work with apps. So right here is our to-do app. I'm going to open it up so we can get to its console. And she's loaded in there. This is a bare bones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Real bare bones. I still love that icon.
Yeah. Really.
So
Comic Sans.
That's hot.
So do we want to tour around a little bit just to talk about what we're looking at, or let's just build the states? Awesome.
Talk about that later.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, what the archetype does give you is the components to build out what we call the application root and the application states. So right out of the gate with the archetype, the application root is already configured in the content tree, and we've given the component for the state, so we need to go add in a few pages of type application state.
All right.
So that's what we're going to do right here. So we're going to click on application root, or app to do app here. So now we're in its child, and we're going to add in a couple states. I'm going to add in state 1.
I see you've done this a few times.
Yeah.
No, state 1.
Let's
keep it consistent.
All right. Glad you're here to catch that. This video would go from 10 minutes to 2 hours.
5 hours of debugging your routing.
Yeah. I'm going to add a second state too, if you're cool with that.
Please.
Right. This one I will call state 2. I like all the fields filled out. Just how
I can see that.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go back to state 1, and let's add a little bit of content to it. So it's all saved up.
Yeah, all set.
Close it out.
So now we've authored these states in different pages, right? So these are the library contains the logic to sort of take these states and cobble them together into a single page application. One of the niceties that it provides is that you can actually do this in preview mode in Author. So if we crack open that to-do application, switch over to preview.
Well, I think one thing we do need to do is open the page properties, and we need to set the default state.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that might be the biggest hang up here. So I'm glad.
Well, I always forget this first.
Yeah, another set of debugging. So what's important is in any Angular application, you do need a default state. And because we're using the Ionic library, it's backed by Angular, we also have to set that, and we've set that up in the application root. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to select state 1 as our default state. And then I am going to give us a name here. All right, so right here, this is the root. Pretty blank, not a lot going on here. But when I hit preview, what we should see here is the single page application rendered.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
And there it is. So that's our default state that we just set. Now here's a real test. Click on state 2. Boom. There's state 2.
Swapped in.
Very nice. So this is a fully functioning single page application that you can preview. Because to touch on it again, that's always going to be the issue, is how to author one of these.
Right.
And how to give enough context to let the author be able to do a good job in the authoring, but still turn it into a single page application. Right. I think that's what this library really affords.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
So now do we want to, as a final test for this video at least, let's pull this sucker down and actually wrap it in Cordova.
Yeah, let's see it working. So what we're going to do here is go down to, you can see this is very bare bones. We haven't set up PhoneGap build or the pushies.
Yeah.
But I'm going to download the source, and I'm going to download the entire source, since this is our first download. Let that pull down to my machine.
Yeah, so that's going to get you a zip. And if we crack that zip open, if you're familiar with Cordova or PhoneGap development, what you're going to see is a site that you're probably pretty used to seeing, which is the sort of the folder structure for a PhoneGap project. So from here, we're just running typical Cordova commands to wrap this thing.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a ready-to-build Cordova application. So I'm going to add the Android platform. Throw an ad in there. We're loaded up now.
All right.
Then I'm going to build it. So let's take everything down in the www directory, copy it up to Android, wrap it up, and see what we got.
Now, obviously, all of this, to be able to do all of this, you have to have Cordova set up on your machine. You have to have the Android SDK set up on your machine. There's good instructions out on the Cordova site itself for getting all of that installed and up and running.
Yeah, you need about a day.
You need about, that's just the Android
just to pull
SDK
down the Android
download.
SDK. Yeah. And another 4 hours for the Xcode to get down as well.
Right.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to emulate out on Android. And so I'm going to start that command, and we can have a few minutes while the emulator loads up.
Yeah, so using this library is not going to make making mobile apps simple. It's going to bootstrap your AEM Apps development and give you a lot of patterns to work with.
Right.
But people who are new to AEM Apps development, we've always advised, first thing to do, go build an app in Cordova. If you're going to become an Ionic developer, go figure out how to build an Angular app and then get into Ionic. Then you can start even thinking about AEM Apps, because to just jump into mobile, hybrid application development in, this non-traditional environment, this authored environment, you're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Right.
You're gonna accrue a lot of technical debt, so to speak, that you're never going to get out of without just scrapping the entire project.
Right. Yeah, and I would say even once you're in that world, take out content sync.
Right.
Just try to build an app that you can pull down, kind of the method we just did.
Yeah.
Simplify it even more for yourself, because getting an understanding of those handlers, content handlers, and how the app gets built takes a while and is really important.
Yeah.
Even before trying to figure out how to sync that content
right
out to the app. Well, I think she's loaded up here.
right, and there it is, up and running on the emulator like we saw out in preview, first state. And as we saw in preview, we go ahead and click on the second state. Obviously, we're going to swap in state 2.
There it is.
There it is. So, app doesn't do too much right now. But we've gone through the steps of getting a project up in AEM, building a couple states, seeing an actual single page application get made from the states that we built, pull that application down, wrap it in Cordova, get it out onto a device. So that's pretty good progress. That's probably, you can say that took a sprint.
Certainly, we have because of Cordova, we have access to all the native APIs that there are plugins for. You can create your own plugins.
Yep.
So that's a native app authored in AEM.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.